Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, if you could smash the subscribe button, it really helps me out. And also if you guys could hit the like, it goes a long way for channel growth. Anyway, rising prospect Vergil Ortiz Jr. is indicating that he wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. sooner rather than later. Vergil Ortiz was speaking to DAZN USA, and this is what he had to say in regards to a potential fight with Errol Spence Jr. He said, "I think I'll be ready for Errol Spence in less than 2 years. Honestly, I don't want to wait too long to where he's already on his way out. I want to say that I beat Errol in his prime, and hopefully we get it on in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium." Those were the words of Vergil Ortiz Jr. So Vergil Ortiz Jr. is saying all of the right things, and he's showing some great ambition with that statement. Of course, we need to see him fight all of these guys, but ultimately right now, he's saying all of the right things. You know, he was also calling out Keith Thurman a few months back, and it looks like Vergil Ortiz is about that life, and he wants to fight the best fighters out there. Vergil Ortiz, to me, is a very promising fighter in the welterweight division. I think he's the best prospect in that division, to be quite honest, and he is certainly Golden Boy Promotions' best prospect. People talk about Ryan Garcia. Listen, I think Vergil Ortiz has a much higher ceiling, and this guy could be a problem in the welterweight division. He's a well-sized welterweight at 5'10". He's got a 70-inch reach, and this guy is only getting better. For me, Vergil Ortiz is the best prospect in the welterweight division, and I think he is by quite some distance as well, if I'm being honest. I think before the likes of Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and world title level fighters, Virgil does need a couple more fights. You know, I'm talking about fights with the likes of Josecito Lopez, for example, guys who have been around, who are experienced, who are still tough and still have something to offer. If he could fight a couple of those type of guys, after that, you know, providing he wins and looks good, I think they should let Vergil Ortiz off the loose, to be honest. I really believe a lot of these guys in the welterweight division are on their way out, and I believe Errol Spence Jr. could be one of those guys, to be honest. I mean, believe it or not, Errol Spence Jr. is already 30 years old. I know 30 isn't old, but 30 when you're not living the life, when you're putting on a load of weight, when you've been involved in a bad car crash, maybe that's an old 30. You know, we've got no idea how Errol's going to look when he gets back in the ring. Maybe this accident has taken something from him. You know, we'll see. And also as well, you know, on top of the accident, he doesn't live the life. So when this guy has to continuously make weight, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. And by the time somebody like Vergil Ortiz fights him, maybe Virgil's going to have a bit too much. Maybe he will. And if you look at the welterweight division as a whole, like I say, a lot of these guys are on the way out. Keith Thurman, 31 years old, not very active, coming off loads of injuries. This guy doesn't have many fights left in him, and I think the hunger's gone. Sean Porter, a guy who I have tremendous respect for, 32 years old, been through a lot of hard fights. Again, this guy's not going to be around for much longer. Danny Garcia, 32 years old, again, guy's not going to be around much longer. Mikey Garcia, he's certainly not going to stick around much longer. He's 32 years old and is basically now just looking for the big paydays. Your Dennis Ugas, very good fighter, but 33 years old. Terence Crawford himself, you know, I think he's stagnating. He's not fighting anybody and he's 32 years old. By the time Virgil is ready in 12, 18 months, these guys are going to be that bit older and Virgil's going to be a lot better, and he's still going to be very young. In 12, 18 months' time, I could easily see Vergil Ortiz being a welterweight champion. I think the guy has an extremely high ceiling. He seems to take the sport seriously. He never really looks out of shape. And skill set wise, I really like what I see. First and foremost, Vergil Ortiz has the style that I really enjoy watching. He's a boxer puncher. That's my favourite style in boxing. Very sharp, straight puncher, pretty good at managing range. He has excellent timing. He can get aggressive, he can push you back, he can apply pressure, he can box, he's got a nice jab. The guy offensively is just very good to watch. And on top of that, his fundamentals look pretty solid. Yeah, he needs to iron out a few flaws. Sometimes he likes to get involved a little too much. You know, sometimes he'll trade a little bit too much. But the guy's only 22 years old. As this guy has more fights, as he gets more experienced, these, lapses in concentration should get ironed out. And when this guy is 24, for example, he's going to be that much better. And by the time he's 24, like I said, these guys are going to be that much older. And this guy is going to be a problem then. He really will. Even right now, if you chuck Vergil Ortiz in there with Keith Thurman, I've got to be honest, I think I'd pick Vergil Ortiz right now. Even Errol Spence, we've got no idea how Errol Spence is going to look. Let's say hypothetically, you chuck Vergil Ortiz in with Errol Spence next. Are you certain Errol's going to win that fight, given what he's gone through? I'm not. I'm really not. You've got a guy in Vergil Ortiz who clearly takes his craft extremely seriously. He clearly takes it seriously. Whereas Errol Spence, can we say the same? No, we can't. I rate Errol Spence Jr. extremely highly. Those who follow the channel closely will know that. But, those guys who don't live a life, who don't take the game seriously, despite what talent they may have, despite how skilled they may be, eventually they're going to come unstuck. And Errol Spence Jr., in my opinion, is heading in that direction. For me, when you look at a lot of these welterweights, I see fighters who are in severe danger of not leaving a lasting legacy and not having a resume that's up to par. I'm talking about the likes of Terence Crawford, Keith Thurman, even Errol Spence Jr. himself. These guys are not getting any younger. They're not making good decisions. And before you know it, their careers would have passed them by. And they could be overtaken by the likes of Vergil Ortiz Jr. Again, a lot of these guys really need to get a move on. Virgil has time on his side. He's saying all of the right things. He's performing well in the ring. And he's always improving. This guy looks like somebody to follow. This guy looks like somebody to get behind. I certainly believe in his ability. I believe in his talents. And I think this guy's going to be a problem real soon in this welterweight division. I don't think a lot of these guys are, quite frankly, about that life. I've got to be honest. I really don't. The welterweight division has good talent. It really does. But these guys just aren't fighting regularly enough. And ultimately, they're not giving us the fights we want to see. Why have we not got Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford? These guys are playing around too much. And by the way, I don't include Manny Pacquiao in this discussion. Manny Pacquiao's in a league of his own. And it goes to show, Manny Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman, and that's a better win than anything on Errol Spence's resume. Better than anything on Sean Porter's resume. Better than anything on Mikey Garcia's resume. Better than anything on Danny Garcia's resume. And that goes to show these guys are just underperforming. When a 41-year-old part-time boxer, part-time senator, Manny Pacquiao, is doing bigger things, then you really need to look at yourself in the mirror. That's why I'm really kind of back in Vergil Ortiz, because first and foremost, the welterweight division needs fresh blood. It needs some young names to really, rattle the cage, I guess. And I think Vergil Ortiz could do that. On top of that, I think the division will improve if the likes of Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez move up. These guys are doing great things at 140, and that kind of leads me to believe that these guys will try and follow the same trajectory in the welterweight division. We need guys who are going to fight each other, who are not scared to fight the best. A lot of these guys in the welterweight division just play politics far too much as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I've kind of gone off onto a tangent, but Vergil Ortiz Jr., he's saying all the right things. This guy's looked the part in his first 15 fights. Give this guy 2 to 3 more fights, 12 months, fight the likes of Josecito Lopez, people like that, and then let this guy off the leash. I'm telling you guys now, a lot of these guys in the welterweight division are there for the taking. They really are, and Vergil Ortiz could be one of the guys to do it. Share your thoughts below. First and foremost, what do you make of Vergil Ortiz? Do you rate him as high as I do? Are you not sold yet? Share your thoughts below on Vergil Ortiz, and also, share your thoughts in regards to the welterweight division in general. Am I being a bit too harsh on a lot of these guys, or do you agree? Share your thoughts below. Peace.